This World Cup taught us three things: racism, colonialism, and power. Here's what we learned. First up, racism is still the #1 abuse category at football's biggest event. FIFA just scanned 6 million posts for this World Cup. 89,000 were abusive, and racism was the biggest category, 13 times worse than the last World Cup. And we've gathered the evidence to prove it. Let's get into it. 3 black players missed their penalty shots, racially abused within hours. Same with Germany's Jonathan Tah, comments flooded with monkey gifs. And the Dutch FA is now suing over these slurs, and their prime minister said it best: one moment there are boys until they miss. Proving that excellence really is the price of belonging and perfection isn't the standard, it's a shield from racism. Racist commentary about black players also coming under scrutiny, including, and I quote, "I've always said those players, and I'm really not racist, but black players lack the concentration to last more than 60 to 80 minutes. A senator from Paraguay also called Mbappé a colonized Cameroonian, desperately trying to pass himself off as French and a brute who had not learned to write. An ex-Paraguay goalkeeper also said in 1998 they faced the French. Now Paraguay will face a squad from Africa, obviously referencing France. Paraguayans even hung a mannequin of Mbappé on a tree and burnt it at the San Juan festival. Controversies over bias and favoritism towards Argentina, and Egypt's coach even made FIFA's own anti-racism signal on the pitch, which appears to have been ignored by the referee. South Africa's squad grounded by visa delays. Fans from 5 African nations told to pay $15,000 bonds just to watch their own teams. And then Somalia's first ever World Cup referee turned away at Miami airport. Valid visa, sent home anyway. And now the latest, being the US streamer iShowSpeed facing racism from Argentinian fans. So racism has been alive and kicking, but here's what nobody wants to connect: colonialism. It shaped the modern game. Firstly, African players are not just in the World Cup, they're carrying it. This year, a record 10 African nations qualified, and a record 9 reached the knockouts. But even if we were to pivot to the other teams across the world, remove all the black players and immigrants from these squads, and there's barely any team left. And so the World Cup isn't just a tournament. It's really a living map of the transatlantic slave trade and the global empire. From South America to the Caribbean to North America to Africa, the diversity that we're seeing across these teams is a direct result of colonialism, forced migration, and their descendants playing football for the countries that displaced them. And then there's power. One phone call fixes an entire red card, and nobody's calling about the climate crisis. So the World Cup really showed us that power decides who gets protected and who doesn't. And Folarin Balogun got a red card for stepping on a player's ankle. And by the way, many argue that Lionel Messi did the exact same thing weeks earlier with no consequence. We'll get into that later. But Balogun's ban only got lifted after the US president called FIFA personally. That same president pulled the US out of the Paris Agreement, out of South Africa's climate change partnership, out of Power Africa, which by the way was the US initiative that funded electricity access across the continent, and over $1 billion meant to move Africa off of coal was gone. So sit with this. If a president can make a phone call about a football red card, why not about a continent's climate future? The internet is also calling it the most corrupt World Cup in history. Do you agree? And don't get me started on Egypt versus Argentina, where experts are now questioning political influence. A disabled goal, a late VAR call leading to Argentina's comeback. Egypt's own coach said perhaps they wanted Messi to stay in the running. The world champions received support at every level. So is football political? Every example in this video has a name, a date, a source, racist fans, racist commentary, racist visa policy. So was this year's World Cup fair? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.